Welcome to Relate with Miss Lisa and Ruben. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Lisa and Mr. Ruben. Alrighty then, let's just do it. Take a listen to episode 4 of season 6. We're calling it First Date Sex. Listen to this relatable, transparent segment of Miss Lisa and Ruben.
Okay, hello, Miss Lisa.
Hello, Ruben.
Everything okay?
Everything's fine.
I wonder if people can hear you.
Everything's great, love. What's on your mind today?
Well, you wanted to talk about what we've heard, what we witnessed on the internet about sex on the first date. Hold on, let me play the clip.
Is it okay to have sex on the first date? That is what we were talking about at my photo shoot today, and everyone seems to have a different opinion. Is it okay to have sex on the first date? Does that make you be viewed a certain way by people? Does that change the dynamic of whatever the relationship could be if you have sex on the first date? Feel free at any point to chime in, because everybody has so much to say about it before.
Maybe you felt like doing it. You was just in a mood.
Okay. So you feel like we're mature enough to do it and not be labeled or feel a certain way. I think a lot of people's concern is that you'll be viewed a certain way if you have sex on the first date. You won't be taken as serious.
Certain people are just promiscuous though, and they enjoy that. I feel like you should be allowed to enjoy sex, even if it's just meeting somebody.
So do you think a person will take you seriously if you have sex with them on the first date? Or
I have, so yeah.
Oh, you're speaking from experience.
I think you have to be okay with knowing that they might not speak to you after.
Yes.
Oh, that's another element.
You gotta come with that
But my thing
mindset
is, you
already.
can date somebody for a month, and y'all can have sex, and they cannot call you again.
Right, and it won't last.
But I think for that, I personally think there has to be a level of maturity between you two people.
Definitely.
Agree.
So I want to hear from you. Is it okay to have sex on the first date, or are you setting yourself up for some kind of label, or a person not taking you seriously, or a person not calling you again? Yes, no, maybe so. I want to hear your opinion.
Okay, that's the clip. So, for a change, give me your thoughts on what she said. Do you agree about sex on the first date, or should people have sex on the first date, or what about the stigmas that attach to it?
That is just a very opinionated question. And for me personally, it depends upon a lot of things. It just does. For myself, I would never have sex with someone on the first date. I don't know you like that, and I don't think that should be the basis that you are trying to start a relationship on. This is just for me. As a woman, I would say that females, well, the average female, would probably have some difficulty trying to move forward in a relationship if they had sex with someone on the first date. Sex is a very intimate, a very physical, a very personal act. And I can't speak for the guys, but I think it's easier for a guy to sleep with someone on the first date and maybe not have any feelings about the act itself or the individual, and have no qualms about not calling the person back ever. But I think for females, because we are more emotional creatures, it's harder to disengage from that. So I would think for the average female, after you've given yourself completely to this man on the first date, this man that you do not know, it would be more difficult to try to disengage from moving forward in a relationship. That's just my personal opinion. What is yours?
Well, we talked about this a couple times before. Mine is coming from a different level. I don't know what most people would think about this, but just what I've come to know once at my age, that coming from a different level. When the guy, most times, probably 98% out of 100, the guy is insisting or suggesting sex on the first date. I haven't heard many women suggesting sex on the first date. Most times it's coming from a guy. Now, I put that in category to each his own. If you have enough information about the person that you're about to sleep with on a first date, or even after a first date, before the second date, and you've grown enough to know the repercussions of it, then I say, well, do whatever you feel you and your body wants to do. Just beware of the repercussions. Don't come back and blaming everybody after you done it if it doesn't turn out your way. Now, what I consider is the mature aspect. I don't know about the full story about when a woman goes so long about sex and what happens to her body and all of that. But with a guy, if a guy have gone a period of time without sex, I'm talking more than 3 months, 6 months. In some cases, maybe a year or 2 years. That becomes almost unbearable for him, for his body. He has to release that sperm, and a lot of time masturbation doesn't do it. You can masturbate all day, and it doesn't release that edge. It doesn't release it like natural sex would. Now that's where it comes in that the woman has to be cognizant of the fact that I'm going to have sex with this man on the first date. And because women are emotional creatures, most women having sex on the first date, meaning I'm going to lay myself down and let this man do what he wants to, and within reason. But afterwards, I'm hoping that, or I'm thinking that, since I'm giving my body to him and I'm accepting his, that we're making a decision to be a couple from that point on, to be together from that point on. We're committing to each other. Okay, if I sleep with you, that means I'm committing to you. I'm not committing to nobody else. I'm going to sleep with only you. And a lot of time that understanding hasn't been discussed before sex. And a lot of times when hot and heavy, sex on the first date is normally a lot of times spontaneous. So you're not going to sit and have this conversation. Well, okay, are you going to do A, B, and C, D? It's not recommended to have sex on the first date unless you really know the person. And sometimes sex on the first date could mean you guys may have been talking on the phone for a while, may have gotten to know each other for a long time, and now you're finally going on that first date after months of talking to each other, hypothetically. Well, you've come to know each other verbally, and so you finally see each other physically, and all that smack you've been talking over the phone, all that I want you, if you were in my life, this and that. Now you're face to face. Now you're both hot and heavy, want to put your money where your mouth is, so to speak. You have sex. Then after sex, she's happy with it. He's happy with it or okay with it. But all of a sudden, now he's forced to make a decision that he should have made before asking you to make love to him, have sex with her. Now he's deciding, okay, is this the woman I want to commit to, the woman I want to be with? I was just horny. I just wanted something. It's been so long since I had some. And she was the only one in my space, or the only one I wanted something from. But that doesn't mean I want to spend the rest of my life with her. Well, now, that'll be devastating news to her. because maybe she's the type of woman that the only reason I'm going to give this up to you because I'm expecting you to be my man. No ifs, ands, or buts. And we're going to try to make a relationship work. And so what happens next is the guy ghosts her because he's like, oh man, I didn't want to. And now she's showing signs that she's ready to fall in love, ready to start a life with him. And he's like, oh, I ain't ready for all that. I just wanted to have sex. I wanted good sex. Now, because he may have waited so long, of course the sex was good. Both of you were probably crawling the walls. In most cases, it may be good. But now the position is, most women and most men, they don't ask the question when they meet each other, as I talked to you about. How long has it been since you had sex? If the answer doesn't come right away, if it's a bunch of stuttering with it, if it's why you ask me that? Or why would you ask me that? Oh, that's rude. Well, of course you wouldn't ask him that when you first learned his name. What's your name? Man, just so-and-so. Well, how long have you know? It's after you guys have been talking for a while. You've gotten to know each other. He knows about your family. You know about his, although you haven't met him yet. But you've explained and talked about some personal things. So you're in a safe zone to ask each other, how long has it been since you had sex? If they honestly ask you that, if a woman asks a man that, and he honestly answers and said, well, it's been 3 months or 6 months, then she needs to make sure, if I give it to him on the first date, is he deciding on me, or is he just wanting to get his rocks off? She needs to find that out. And once you ask that target question, how long has it been since you had sex? And if they don't stutter, if they answer right away, you pretty much got your answer as to if you should do it or not. And if you still decide to do it, then you're taking a risk like people do all the time, with sex. You're taking a risk. Now, all the stigmas attached to it with the woman, like, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to be labeled a hoe. I don't want to be, well, you can't. What people say doesn't matter. What matters is what you decide to do with your body. And if you want him, make sure you're not just going to be a lay in the bed for him. And then he's going next door to get some more from somebody else. Find out how long has it been. You don't have to know how many has he slept with. Just how long has it been since his last one. If you don't study, I think, I don't think it's fair for you. If you don't do all of that, if you just say, oh, baby, it's been like 3 months. It's been about 6 months. Well, if he's honest with his answers, of course, you need to be honest with yours if he direct the question back at you. But that would determine if you should or should not. And asking that in the heat of the moment, I think it's okay. But it should be asked before it gets to that point of sleeping on the first date, sleeping on each other on the first date. But other than that, if you haven't gotten to that mature level, you're taking a risk like you do with anything else. It's a risk to sleep with someone on the first date or the second date. It doesn't even get any better on the third date if you wait until the third date. Because if you haven't decided that how important your body is, if somebody wants you that bad, that's a sign you must really have it going on. So that it's sacred. Your body is sacred. So you should treat it as such. And quit worrying about it. If I ask him that, he's going to run off and he's going to go sleep with my friend or go sleep with you. So let him run off. That means he wasn't for you in the first place. But if you seriously considering, I know heat of the moment, spontaneity comes into play where you ain't got time to go through all that. You just, both of y'all horny. You just, well, that's fine. If you're grown enough to do it, just do it and not expect nothing from each other. But if you're truly expecting something out of it, if you're truly expecting more than just a lay in the hay, then you would do yourself a favor if you just ask that question or form your own question to find out what is really going on, because your need is much greater long term than it is in a spontaneous moment. If he can't be there every time you need it or every time you want it, if you can't be there just for a conversation or anything, even if y'all just want to just bounce some words around, get into a disagreement, but he don't run away, well, then okay, well, it was safe to do it first I don't judge anybody for that. But if you sleep with them first time and all of a sudden you can't find them and you're calling them and you're texting them and you're texting your sister and all that, and I don't know where he at. When the last time you heard from him? That means that guy has probably haven't had any in a while, so he's not thinking straight. That comes from the term of what old school people used to say, men think with their dicks. That's true, because if a man has gone so long without it, then you can entice him with anything. You can just scratch your side boob and he's ready to go. You can bend over a certain kind of way. He's ready to go, because anything you do gonna turn him on. He's about to explode if you don't give it to him. But make sure he knows and you know what happens afterwards. Okay, of course you can't instruct him of that, but you can find out where his mind is, where you know can kind of predict what he's gonna do once you give it to him. And are you gonna be okay with that, or is that something you want to pass up? So that's my whole commentary on the whole thing. She said, so I think it's okay if you're mature enough to sleep with somebody on the first date, and if there's no backlash gonna come from it. And the only way backlash is not gonna come from it if there's no expectations afterwards. Hey, we both was horny, and if it's a wham bam, see you later, ma'am, or let it be. But if you want something out of it, then that should be discussed before it gets to that point of spontaneity. Two people control themselves when it's hot and heavy. It's better when you're mature about it than not. Those moments are going to happen. Happens to the best of us. But you know what you want out of the relationship. You know what you want out of him, or you know what you want out of her. Because there's plenty of women that are just overly sexual, where they want it all the time, or they got to have it. Or if they haven't had it in a long time, once it's awakened, they got to have it all the time, and it becomes a problem. So it's best to have those discussions before you put yourself in those positions. But first dates, sex, people give it a bad rap. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, as long as you know what position you're putting yourself in and position you're putting your partner in. You move on from there. So,
Well, that was a mouthful.
well, you ask.
I did. So
Should I take anything back?
it was very informational. I guess there's something to be said for two consenting adults and making sure you understand the consequences of your actions, good or bad, before you make that leap. And reviewing what your expectations are. Again, for myself personally, that's not something that I would do, because even if I've been talking to you for 3 months on the phone, I still have not met you in person. So I know people can develop feelings for other individuals, talking, texting, writing. Once again, it depends upon the people that are involved, and you need to know yourself and what your expectations are. So if, like with most things, if your expectation is, if I sleep with him, then we're in a relationship, and that person is not on the same page, you're setting yourself up for heartbreak. So, consider carefully. Even if two people are horny, there are still potential consequences from indulging in that act, and everybody should consider the consequences of their actions, whatever they are. So
Right, true.
that's really all I have to add, love. So
Couldn't have said it better. So I think we ought to put this to rest. This has so many variables to it. But I think people will know what to do. But I've just noticed there's been a lot of backlash about people sleeping together on the first date. It's like, whose business is it? As long as they're mature about it, and the rest of the world don't have to hear their gripe or see their attacking on each other. Yeah, go ahead and go for it. Of course, it's not recommended.
Yeah, I slept with you and now I'm no longer interested in you, but you're stalking me.
see,
You're
see, that's what I mean. There's so many variables to it. So that is a true. Now, see that one right there. See, I didn't even think about that part till you brought it up. But see, that's the reason.
reality.
There's so many connections to it. So that's why meeting each other fine, and then deciding to sleep with each other fine. But talk about all that stuff way in advance.
Don't make assumptions.
Don't make
assume
assumptions,
that
no.
the woman is on birth control and then you get a phone call, I'm pregnant.
Now that needs to be discussed too. All of that up front. You need to make a list of those
So
things.
there are just, again, consequences to your actions, whatever they are.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
consider them thoroughly before taking the leap, whatever that leap is, would be my advice to anyone, whether they are male or female. Don't make assumptions, ask specific questions.
Specific questions. Okay. Well, with that said, I guess we'll leave that out there and see what kind of feedback we get on that. So, until then, what's your phrase?
Happy dating.
What?
Happy dating.
Oh, okay. You didn't say that like you meant it, like on the last podcast. You're happy dating.
Well, this is a tough. This is a. I don't know. I guess it's a necessary topic, but it's there are a lot of dynamics to this, and
Didn't you say you wanted to discuss this, even though I said I don't think we should?
so I'm done. I'm done discussing this topic.
Okay, you didn't like the answers. Okay, well, guys, we'll date happy and think about that first date action, man.
Happy safe dating.
Happy, safe dating, because that spontaneous stuff can come back to haunt you in the worst way. And we'll talk to you guys later until next time on the next podcast episode with Miss Lisa and Ruben. Bye, guys.
Join us again for another transparent, exciting, and opinionated episode of Relate with Miss Lisa and Ruben. Okay, family, happy dating.